Ashe, and welcome to another special episode of our Mandatory Mental Liberation series, produced by Baba Jelani Bomani Dembe, the founder of Majestic Mind Matters University. I'm your royal narrator, Queen Magical Melanin, for this new episode. The necessity of the Mandatory Mental Liberation series at Majestic Mind Matters University lies in our focus on serving our melanin-rich culture nation. By addressing the importance of knowledge of self to produce greater self-awareness and advocating for our mental liberation, especially for our precious melanin-rich culture children, our messages aim to combat the enduring effects of generational mental enslavement stemming from the historical trauma of the chattel enslavement of the ancestors. Our initiative seeks to empower us to break free from these harmful and unfavorable legacies and cultivate a deep-rooted sense of self-identity and unwavering resilience. In a world where words carry weight, these terms hold a history of oppression and discrimination. Our melanin-rich culture nation has not given up on the fight for liberation. We know that terms like Black or brown people, people of color, perpetuate stereotypes and homogenize our melanin-rich culture people. In this message, it will only be used to maintain clarity for those who are not yet up to our melanin-rich culture standards. By embracing indigenous terms like Alkebulan, this name means mother of mankind, in various African languages such as Akuyu, Swahili, and Kemet, referring to ancient Egypt, and rejecting the terms Africa or African, these oppressive terms, which are unknown to many, we are reclaiming our melanin-rich culture narratives and asserting our royal cultural pride. Knowing the power of language in shaping global societal perceptions and challenging systemic racism is our first step to true liberation. Now, let's get started with this very special message titled Future Frontiers: Research on Sickle Cell Anemia Disease. Sickle cell disease is a genetic disorder that primarily affects individuals of African descent. It is a serious and potentially life-threatening condition that can lead to complications such as anemia, pain crises, and organ damage. The disease is caused by a mutation in the gene that produces hemoglobin, the protein that carries oxygen in the blood. This mutation leads to the production of abnormal hemoglobin called hemoglobin S, which causes red blood cells to become sickle-shaped rather than the normal disc shape. One of the reasons why sickle cell disease predominantly affects individuals of African descent is because the gene mutation that causes the disease actually provides some protection against malaria. Malaria is a deadly disease caused by a parasite that is transmitted to humans through the bite of infected mosquitoes. In regions where malaria is prevalent, individuals with the sickle cell gene mutation have a survival advantage because they are less likely to develop severe forms of the disease. As a result, the sickle cell gene has become more common in populations with a high prevalence of malaria, such as those of African descent. The sickle cell gene is inherited in a recessive manner, which means that individuals must inherit 2 copies of the mutated gene, one from each parent, to develop the disease. If an individual inherits only 1 copy of the mutated gene, they are said to have sickle cell trait. People with sickle cell trait usually do not have symptoms of the disease, but they can pass the gene on to their children. Therefore, individuals of African descent have a higher likelihood of being carriers of the sickle cell gene, which increases the risk of having a child with sickle cell disease. Melanin, the pigment that gives skin its color, plays a role in the development of sickle cell disease in individuals of African descent. Melanin provides some protection against the harmful effects of ultraviolet, UV, radiation from the sun. UV radiation can damage DNA in the skin, potentially leading to skin cancer. In individuals with darker skin, melanin absorbs and scatters UV radiation, reducing its ability to penetrate the skin and cause damage. However, the production of melanin requires the amino acid tyrosine, which is derived from the same pathway that produces the amino acid phenylalanine. Phenylalanine is also necessary for the production of the protein that carries oxygen in the blood, hemoglobin. Individuals with sickle cell disease have a deficiency in the production of normal hemoglobin, which can lead to anemia and other complications. The body compensates for this deficiency by producing more red blood cells to try to carry enough oxygen to the tissues. However, sickle-shaped red blood cells are less flexible and cannot flow as easily through small blood vessels. This can lead to blockages in the blood vessels, causing pain crises and potentially damaging organs such as the liver, kidneys, and spleen. Because individuals of African descent have higher levels of melanin in their skin, they may have lower levels of phenylalanine available for the production of normal hemoglobin. This could potentially exacerbate the symptoms of sickle cell disease in these individuals. Additionally, the presence of melanin in the skin may also affect the body's response to oxidative stress, which has been implicated in the development of complications in sickle cell disease. Sickle cell disease primarily affects individuals of African descent due to the prevalence of the gene mutation in these populations, as well as the role of melanin in the production of hemoglobin. Understanding the factors that contribute to the development of the disease in this population is crucial for improving diagnosis, treatment, and management of sickle cell disease in individuals of African descent. Further research is needed to explore the relationship between melanin and sickle cell disease, as well as potential interventions to improve outcomes for individuals with the disease. Sickle cell anemia is a genetic disorder that affects the red blood cells, causing them to become misshapen and unable to carry oxygen effectively throughout the body. This condition is caused by a mutation in the gene that controls the production of hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen. Instead of the normal round shape, the red blood cells in individuals with sickle cell anemia have a crescent or sickle shape, which can cause them to get stuck in small blood vessels and block the flow of oxygen-rich blood to tissues and organs. The symptoms of sickle cell anemia can vary in severity from person to person. Common symptoms include fatigue, shortness of breath, jaundice, yellowing of the skin and eyes, and episodes of pain known as crises that can occur anywhere in the body, but most commonly affect the chest, back, arms, legs, and abdomen. These pain episodes can last from a few hours to a few days and can be debilitating. Other complications of sickle cell anemia include an increased risk of infections, delayed growth and development in children, vision problems, and damage to organs such as the spleen, liver, kidneys, and bones. These complications can have a significant impact on the quality of life of individuals with sickle cell anemia and can lead to serious health problems if not managed properly. While there is no cure for sickle cell anemia, there are treatments available to help manage the symptoms and complications of the disease. These can include medications to help reduce pain and inflammation during crises, blood transfusions to increase the number of healthy red blood cells in the body, and hydroxyurea, a medication that can help increase the production of fetal hemoglobin, which can reduce the severity of symptoms. Sickle cell anemia is a genetic disorder that affects millions of people worldwide, particularly those of African, Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, and Indian descent. It is caused by a mutation in the gene that controls the production of hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen throughout the body. This mutation leads to the production of abnormal hemoglobin known as hemoglobin S, which causes red blood cells to change shape and become rigid and sticky. Instead of the normal round shape, red blood cells in individuals with sickle cell anemia take on a sickle or crescent shape. These misshapen cells can get stuck in small blood vessels, blocking the flow of oxygen-rich blood to tissues and organs. This blockage can cause a range of symptoms, including fatigue, shortness of breath, jaundice, and episodes of excruciating pain known as sickle cell crises. Sickle cell crises can occur anywhere in the body, but are most commonly experienced in the chest, back, arms, legs, and abdomen. These episodes of pain can last from a few hours to several days and can be triggered by factors such as dehydration, infection, stress, or extreme temperatures. In addition to pain crises, individuals with sickle cell anemia are at an increased risk of infections, delayed growth and development, vision problems, and organ damage. Managing sickle cell anemia requires a comprehensive approach that includes medical treatments to alleviate symptoms and prevent complications. Medications such as pain relievers and anti-inflammatories can help manage pain during crises, while blood transfusions may be necessary to increase the number of healthy red blood cells in the body. Hydroxyurea, a medication that stimulates the production of fetal hemoglobin, can also be used to reduce the severity of symptoms and complications. In addition to medical treatments, natural remedies can play a supportive role in managing sickle cell anemia. Staying well hydrated by drinking plenty of water and avoiding sugary drinks can help prevent dehydration and reduce the risk of sickle cell crises. A healthy diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean protein can support overall health and immune function, while also reducing inflammation in the body. Identifying and avoiding triggers that can precipitate sickle cell crises, such as extreme temperatures or stress, is essential for preventing painful episodes and complications. Gentle exercise, such as walking, swimming, or yoga, can promote circulation, reduce stress, and improve overall well-being in individuals with sickle cell anemia. It is important to consult with healthcare providers before starting any new exercise program to ensure it is safe and appropriate for individual health needs. Sickle cell anemia is a complex genetic disorder that requires ongoing management and care to optimize quality of life and prevent complications. By working closely with healthcare providers, incorporating medical treatments, and adopting natural remedies, individuals with sickle cell anemia can effectively manage their symptoms and support their overall health and well-being. With the right support and treatment, individuals with sickle cell anemia can lead fulfilling and healthy lives. Sickle cell anemia is a genetic disorder that affects the production of hemoglobin, the protein responsible for carrying oxygen in red blood cells. Individuals with sickle cell anemia have abnormally shaped red blood cells that can become stiff and crescent-shaped, leading to blockages in blood vessels and reduced oxygen delivery to tissues. This can result in a range of symptoms, including severe pain, organ damage, and increased risk of infections. The primary cause of sickle cell anemia is a mutation in the HBB gene, which encodes the beta-globin subunit of hemoglobin. This mutation leads to the production of abnormal hemoglobin known as hemoglobin S, which tends to form long, rigid strands that distort the shape of red blood cells under conditions of low oxygen levels. As a result, affected individuals experience episodes of pain and other complications when these sickled cells block blood flow to various parts of the body. The inheritance pattern of sickle cell anemia is autosomal recessive, meaning that an individual must inherit 2 copies of the mutated gene, one from each parent, in order to develop the disease. Individuals who inherit only 1 copy of the mutated gene are carriers of the trait, known as sickle cell trait, and typically do not exhibit symptoms of the disease. However, carriers can pass the mutated gene on to their offspring, potentially leading to the development of sickle cell anemia in future generations. The distribution of sickle cell anemia is primarily seen in populations with a high prevalence of malaria, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, the Middle East, India, and parts of the Mediterranean region. The reason for this geographic correlation is believed to be due to the evolutionary advantage conferred by the sickle cell trait in protecting carriers from severe forms of malaria. Individuals with sickle cell trait are less susceptible to infection with the malaria parasite Plasmodium falciparum compared to individuals with normal hemoglobin. As a result, carriers of the trait have a survival advantage in regions where malaria is endemic, leading to the persistence of the mutated gene in these populations. Although the sickle cell trait provides protection against malaria, having 2 copies of the mutated gene places individuals at risk for developing sickle cell anemia. The severity of the disease can vary widely among affected individuals, with some experiencing mild symptoms while others suffer from frequent pain crises, organ damage, and complications such as stroke and acute chest syndrome. The clinical course of sickle cell anemia is influenced by various factors, including the presence of other genetic modifiers, environmental triggers, and individual differences in hemoglobin production and cell behavior. Treatment for sickle cell anemia focuses on managing symptoms, preventing complications, and improving quality of life for affected individuals. This may include medications to alleviate pain, reduce inflammation, and prevent infections, as well as blood transfusions, bone marrow transplants, and other specialized interventions for severe cases. Research efforts are ongoing to develop new therapies, including gene editing techniques and stem cell-based approaches that may offer potential cures for the disease in the future. In conclusion, sickle cell anemia is a complex genetic disorder caused by a mutation in the HBB gene that leads to the production of abnormal hemoglobin. The inheritance pattern of the disease, its geographic distribution, and its clinical manifestations are shaped by a combination of genetic, environmental, and evolutionary factors. Understanding the underlying mechanisms of sickle cell anemia is essential for improving diagnosis, treatment, and prevention strategies for individuals affected by this debilitating condition. I'm your royal narrator, Queen Magical Melanin. We trust that this special message has expanded your understanding through the insights shared by the producer Baba Jalani Bumani Dembe, founder of Majestic Mind Matters University, in our Mandatory Mental Liberation Series special message. Remember this, it is essential to honor the ancestors. We have a unique connection to the ancestors. They endured many unwarranted struggles, preserved our melanin-rich culture, and passed down invaluable wisdom through many generations. By honoring the ancestors, we pay honorable tribute to our roots and draw great strength and much-needed inspiration from the unwavering resilience and royal legacy that has paved the way for our present and future generations. Ancestral reverence is a powerful way for us to continually uphold our own melanin-rich identity, heritage, and cultural legacy. Here is an ancient Alkebulan proverb to keep in mind. If you think you are too small to make a difference, you have not spent the night with a mosquito. Remember this as well, whenever you are in the presence of anyone, saying, they don't see color, it actually means, they don't see you. We recognize that the name Alkebulan, instead of Africa, as a royal member of our melanin-rich culture nation, we must strive for knowledge of self for greater personal awareness. Always treat yourself kindly and seek to live a totally awesome and gloriously fulfilling melanin-rich culture life. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. So, like, subscribe, and share this very special melanin-rich culture link with everyone that you care about and that really cares about you and all of yours as well, and thank you for listening to this enchanting special message. Titled, Future Frontiers, Research on Sickle Cell Anemia Disease. Ashe.